Hold on to your hats. Projections that will shock you right now on Fantasy Football Today Express. Welcome, everybody. Adam Aizer and Heath Cummings here. Heath, shock us. Just dazzle us with some crazy projections.
I have Jayden Daniels projected to score more fantasy points than any other quarterback in the NFL. My projection for him, 4,262 passing yards, 28 passing touchdowns, 814 rushing yards, and 5.5 rushing touchdowns.
That'd be a pretty good season. Do you draft him first overall?
Almost always what I do is just wait until somebody takes one of Lamar or Josh Allen, and then I take Jayden Daniels. And I think in our pick by pick, actually, Allen went first, then Daniels, and then Jackson. And I don't really have much of a difference between them, so I don't care. Mm-hmm. The biggest takeaway from me in this would be draft the third quarterback.
Okay. One thing I love about him is Cliff Kingsbury and his track record with Kyler Murray, because Kyler Murray in his first, let me just make sure these all line up with Kingsbury. Kingsbury was there from 2019 to 2022. So in those years, Kyler Murray was on pace, or Kyler Murray averaged 34.9, 36.5, 34.4, and 38.9 pass attempts per game, while also being on pace for 571, 925, 514, and 706 rushing yards. And I just love the usage. You don't see quarterbacks rush, more than 100 times a year and also throw 35 or more passes per game. I think that's a real possibility for Jayden Daniels. I don't know about 35, but to be a lot more pass heavy than Lamar Jackson and not be too far behind in rushing totals. Exciting.
Yeah, I was just looking. Pass attempts per game, I have him at 33.4.
And Jackson's usually around 28 or so.
Right.
Okay. How about your next shocking projection?
I have Achane projected to score more PPR fantasy points than any other running back in the NFL. His first 1,000-yard rushing season. Kind of weird that he hasn't had one of those yet. 1,196 yards rushing, 9.9 rushing touchdowns, 95 targets, 76 catches, 584 yards receiving, and 4.3 touchdowns.
Okay, so this is a guy that you end up drafting a lot. Because
I have taken him 5th in each of the last 2 drafts I've done. I have my 14-team FSGA experts draft starting in about 40 minutes. And I really anticipate that I will take Achane at 8th because he doesn't go until round 2, according to ADP somehow. How many fantasy points did Achane average with Tua last year?
22.6, which is essentially what Gibbs and Barkley, is basically RB1. That's PPR. 2023, he played 9 games with 39% or more of the snaps in his rookie season. And he didn't really get used that much, but on pace for 1,857 total yards and 21 touchdowns.
That's good.
Yeah, I know. It's really amazing.
And what solidified this for me was, like, I already had Achane higher than most and ahead of Gibbs. And I think it's almost certain that however many games Achane plays with Tua and however many games Gibbs plays with Montgomery, Achane's going to be better than Gibbs for those games. You're going to need a significant missed period of time for Tua and or Montgomery for Gibbs to be better than Achane.
Are you worried about the offensive line? It's not really common. The only time that I remember, I did this research a couple days ago of a running back finishing number 1 overall and having a horrible offensive line was Austin Eckler. And that was a year where Eckler just had a ton of catches. So does that concern you?
Yeah. I don't expect the Dolphins to have a good offensive line. I'm not sure that they're going to have a horrible offensive line, but if you were going to do that, it would have to be in full PPR by leading the position in targets, receptions, and receiving yards, which I project Achane to do.
Okay. Also, they were pretty bad offensive line last year. PFF had them 27th in run blocking. ESPN had them 26th. Could be worse, but they've already been bad. All right, we'll take a break and give you a couple more shocking projections after this. All right, welcome back. So we've talked about QB1, Jayden Daniels, RB1, Devon Achane. Here's a guy that's definitely not going to be wide receiver 1. Give me a wide receiver projection.
I do not have Mike Evans projected to top 1,000 yards for the first time, I believe, in his NFL career. And I've got him just under that at, I'm getting it, 71 catches for 915 yards and 9 touchdowns on 111 targets. It's an insane touchdown rate, but that's pretty much what he's always done. That does not make him a top 20 wide receiver for me. He was on pace for 878 yards when he played with Chris Godwin last year in 6 healthy games. And they added Emeka Egbuka, and they keep talking about how much they love him and he's going to be a part of the offense. And there's a chance that the efficiency is not as good, partially because it was so insanely good last year and partially because they lost Liam Cohen.
Okay, this might
and he's 32.
The 32 thing, we better be right about that, because Adams and Evans, you have to invest some pretty big draft capital. Last year changed everything with age at running back, but not necessarily at receiver, because DeAndre Hopkins and Keenan Allen fell off the age 32 cliff last year, and it happens time and time again. Will it happen to Evans and Adams? It's a really big question, Heath, and I don't know the answer.
Well, and I think also the only thing I would push back is last year, instead of saying it changed everything at running back, I would say it bucked everything at running back. It's going to have to happen for a couple more running backs besides Derrick Henry and the guys that it happened with last year. But yeah, it was an outlier, and it's possible that Adams and or Evans have an outlier in that regard. Those happen, but I just don't want to project it.
Yeah. All right. And give me a tight end projection. That's shocking.
I think it's probably Sam LaPorta, who I basically have projected to score 10 fantasy points per game, 66 catches, 728 yards, 6 touchdowns on 91 targets.
6 touchdowns. Wow. And yeah, he's going to be taken with a top 60 pick in a lot of leagues, certainly top 70. Sam LaPorta had a very interesting season because, and I feel bad if you listen to the full-length episode of the tight end tiers, this was one guy we pretty much skipped. He ended up as tight end 9 per game. He was on pace for 88 targets. He played 16 games, so his stats are mostly what you see there. But first 11 games, he was really bad. He was tight end 16 per game. Jared Goff averaged 28 pass attempts per game. Last 6 games, he was amazing. He was on pace for 130 targets, and Jared Goff averaged 40 pass attempts per game and was on pace for 5,553 yards, 45 touchdowns, and 17 interceptions. He did have a 20% target share in those last 6 games. Was he just getting healthy? You give him a 20% target share, I think he's going to have a good year, Heath. I don't know if you have that available.
So a 20% target share. Let's see what I've got Jared Goff projected for in terms of targets. It's 569. So 569 times 20%. It's going to get you 113 targets.
Yeah, that would be good.
That will be good as long as he continues to score at a very high rate, which he has done 2 years in a row. We'll see how much Ben Johnson impacts that. All
right. So thank you very much. In case you're curious, by the way, in those last 6 games, he out-targeted Jamison Williams, who had a 17.4% target share. And actually, Heath, I think with the new offensive coordinator, I just wonder, are they going to be as run-heavy? I could see a scenario where you're too low on everyone because David Montgomery is the one that's really suffering. That they phase him out of the offense. They're a more balanced offense. Gibbs is the lead rusher, and he's doing his thing as a receiver, and Goff's throwing the ball a lot. And then the Lions are going to really come through. If Montgomery still has his role, that's where I think your projections make a lot of sense.
And what I would say is I'm not quite too low on everybody. If Montgomery disappears, then I'm going to be very happy that I have Jared Goff ranked 6 spots higher than he's being drafted.
There you go. But that's the interesting one to me, is like, how run heavy are they? How much are they using David Montgomery? Or did they just say, you know what? We had a lot of success scoring late last season, throwing the ball. Maybe we get back to that.
To my perspective or impression is that David Montgomery is very much a Dan Campbell guy.
He's good. And their defense fell apart late last year too. So, all right. Lions, obviously a team that will influence a lot of fantasy leagues. We will talk to you tomorrow on FFT Express. Have a good one.